All right, kiddos. So honors pre-calc, we're going to do a very quick lesson on quadratics. This should not take more than about 10 minutes, if that. I'm hoping 5. I got to get out of here. It's Sunday afternoon. Oops, and I'm tired. There's my sub-plans. So let me go back here for a second. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to recall Algebra 1 because we are not covering this in class. So this is a combination of Algebra 1 and 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that to cover section 2.1. And we're going to do it all very quickly because I'm going to remind you what you need to know. Okay, so in quadratics, we're talking about something that looks like this. In Algebra 1, that would have been in standard form. In Algebra 2, you would have called that standard form. In Algebra 2, you would also see something like this, and you would call that vertex form. This would be your vertex form. And the reason it would be your vertex form is because it gives you what? Your vertex. Okay? Now let me remind you, in Algebra 1, we use this A factor here to tell us whether our parabola opens up or down. We also use that, depending on whether it opens up or down, to tell us whether our vertex is a max or a minimum. You would have solved it by either factoring or the quadratic formula. And I will remind you that this represents your line of symmetry. Okay, that's your line of symmetry. I'm also going to remind you that in Algebra 2, this A not only told you whether it opens up or down, but it tells you whether it's skinny or fat, because you could be skinny or fat, opening up or down. Okay? Now, your book is going to call standard form vertex form. Okay, so it does not matter to me whether you use standard or vertex. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I repeat, does not matter. But here's what you're going to be expected to do. You're going to have a packet today, and you're going to be expected to solve. And so one of the things I need you to understand is that solve is the same thing as finding your x-intercepts. The words we use for x-intercepts are also zeros, also roots, also solutions. And the way we do that is setting y equal to 0. Okay? Now, at this juncture in time, you're going to be given a packet from the sub. If you have not watched this video, you need to. You are going to be expected to be able to complete all of page 1 today. And you can either factor, you can use the quadratic formula, and that's on page 1. So for page 1, you are expected to either factor or use the quadratic formula. Okay? When you flip over page 1, you're going to see page 2, and page 2 is going to require some rearranging before you can factor. Okay? It's going to require some information before you factor. Now, at the bottom of page 2, you're going to graph. And I would say to you, if you can put it in vertex form, great. If you can't, you need to work on that. We will do that Tuesday in class. We'll remind you that you know how to complete the square. But if you cannot graph it from memory, then you need to do a T-chart, okay? If you cannot graph it, you need to do a T-chart. Okay, now, when you get to page 3, you're going to finish with some graphing, and then you need to remember how to complete the square. And so at this point, I'm going to do one example only. And so I'm going to go ahead and tackle number 19. This is straight from your worksheet. And number 19 says this, negative 19 minus 20m minus m squared. The good news is it's already set equal to 0. However, my leading term is negative, and we all know I have issues with that. So I'm going to go ahead and move everything to the other side by adding them all to the other side. If at any point during this video you get confused, please stop the video and then listen and watch again. Okay, so now here I am. This is where I want to start. This is the way I complete the square. If you did it different in Mr. Wood's class or Miss Love's class, sorry, but this is the way I'm going to go ahead and do it for me. So I want all of the m terms to be on one side, and I'm going to put a blank there, and I'm going to move the 19 back over. Now I remember from Algebra 1, my teacher taught me, everything you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. That's what equals means. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take the middle term and I'm going to divide it by 2. And I get 10. Then I'm going to take that quantity and I'm going to square it and place it here. Now what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Okay? So now here I have m plus 10 squared is equal to, if I do good math, 81. And now to complete the square, my answer should look like this. And the reason I complete the square is so that I can determine a general equation. And now, yes, this equals to 0, but now I have a general equation where I can pull out my hk and recognize that my h and my k. Now, I glossed over it. I want you to note right here there's a plus sign. I'm going to scroll back. I want you to see in the general equation that was a minus sign. So remember, when we're doing our vertex, inside is opposite. This was a plus. That translates to a minus in my vertex. Okay? So a short 5-minute video. You are going to watch this if you need to. You're going to watch this several times. I'm going to head out now, go to my son's soccer game on a Sunday afternoon. This is the video you're going to watch in class. Okay? You're now going to complete the packet. The packet should be in front of you. In your groups, I expect you to have the first page done for sure. And the only questions you should have at the end, oh, there's an extra page in here. The only page you should have at the end of the day that you have questions on is possibly completing the square. Okay? Possibly completing the square. All right. Good luck, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.